A good number of you already know me as a resident tryhard and stress case from English class. Another third or so of you may recognize me as either the face from those weird pins on people's backpacks, or as a kid from that one really cringy Taylor Swift lip-syncing video on Twitter. But for those students and parents who I haven't yet met, hi, my name is Grant, and I'm honestly just honored to be addressing you all today. As I sat down to write this speech a few weeks ago, I was feeling overwhelmed. I wanted to create something affecting, funny, brief, and genuine. So I decided to read through journal entries that I recorded over the years and find out what it was that I needed to hear in high school. I put together a list of 29 potential topics, drafted them onto a mind map, and realized I was the reason people dreaded sitting through graduation. And then chose to center my speech around the question I never could answer while at Perry. Is it going to be worth it? You know what? Things happen. Thank goodness for Google Docs, am I right? That first "it" will vary for each of us in this arena, but I believe the general concern is universal. As we practice for sports tryouts, cram for midterms, and labor away at minimum wage jobs, it's natural to crave an Ariana Grande "thank you next" of sorts. Perhaps we wonder whether the time we spent taking care of family or just being a stand-up person will have any actual payout. If we could only land that gig, or make that team, or receive that acceptance, well, it'll have been worth it. The problem with this mindset, though, is that we seem to consider experiences and sacrifices justified solely on the basis of whether we arrive at some intended outcome. As a result, we fall into the trap of resting our value upon accomplishments and others' approval. We risk never fully realizing ourselves because we're too busy waiting to become somebody. And if we buy into this idea of somebody, we relegate our present selves and those around us to nobody. It's for this reason that contrasting our lives with others will always be self-destructive. As Teddy Roosevelt observed, comparison is the thief of joy. It robs us of our triumphs as it supplants personal growth with envy and resentment. When we allow Forbes, Hollywood, Time magazine to dictate that success requires influence, wealth, and recognition, we only doom ourselves to a future marred by exhaustion and inferiority. Life becomes a horse race to the finish line, and no one will ever be first. So let's rewrite the rules of success, this time with another focus, one which tempers the compulsion to compare, and that is belonging. Long-term satisfaction in life is contingent upon belonging. Unlike merely fitting in, belonging first necessitates that we own our narratives and core identity. We must belong to ourselves. Once we begin to derive our value from who we are rather than what we do, and choose to surround ourselves with others who buoy us up, or as my therapist mom would call them, our own personal sunshine committee, we can find fulfillment. Embracing ourselves and finding our missions as we seek to belong rather than outperform enables us to feel genuine excitement for those around us, and the innate human desire for excellence is enhanced by an equally intrinsic interest in authenticity. Finding friends we care about, family we love, and pursuits that excite us and lift others, that's how we belong. That's what success looks like. It's a much slower, more enjoyable lane for us horses in life's time trial. Now, as I'm up here, I cannot help but return to the question, is it going to be worth it? I think of a certain freshman Grant who, upon seeing me up here today, would wholeheartedly affirm that yes, it was worthwhile. But now, as a senior, I realized that the question that really was on my mind wasn't whether my efforts or my time would be worth it. It was whether I would be worth it. I couldn't separate myself from my ambitions and my failures, and I got caught up in the allure of wanting to be somebody. When we feel lonely or overlooked, it's my experience that we try to prove ourselves to others, that we're funny, we're smart, we're whatever. But what I've learned over the past few months is that we're always going to be disappointed if we're waiting for someone to give us value. So, don't. Don't wait for confirmation that you're enough, that it's time to be happy. Make the choice that it is. Ultimately, we'll never know in the moment if our desired results will come to fruition. But as we center our lives around belonging, we can rest assured that we are prioritizing what's most important. If there's one takeaway I want to share with my fellow graduates of the class of 2019, it's that you're already worth it. Nothing you will ever do will add or subtract from your value. Don't cheapen yourself by chasing ever-shifting posts of achievement. You belong, and that's all success really demands. Before I close, I just want to recognize one faculty member who embodies our definition of success, someone who loves working with students and manifests that excitement for learning in every lesson they teach and Spirit Week they participate in. Thank you for so selflessly devoting your school days to math club competitions and your Friday afternoons to philosophy discussions. Your involvement on campus and in the classroom has enabled hundreds of Perry students, including myself, to find their own success as they knew that they belonged. Would you please join me on stage, Mr. Rothery?